No,
I'm
there
just
was
throwing
nothing.
spells on the list.
Which
Yeah.
we don't even really need to do because we didn't get new
No,
spells.
I do. I got my int up to 20.
Oh, well, how fancy are you?
Welcome back, everybody, to Dungeon Brew. We are here on episode 10 of The Short Rest, where me and the guys come together and talk about the game that we just played. We just finished episode 10 of the 9th Ascension, where the party went off and fought their last monster, so to speak, to get the final item to create the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. It was a close battle, but a lot of interesting stuff, I think, occurred in this last game, so I'll turn it over to you guys. Crazy times.
Yeah, it was wild. I don't know, 𝐸ⁱ old as balls now. That's definitely going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. I think the Chimera was definitely spongier than the dragon.
Then
Like
the
Garfena.
Garfena, yeah, sorry. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good fight. The wall collapsing and the fireball was fun, and I didn't even get to do them.
That's probably the most dangerous fight we've had since the first fight against the dragons.
I would agree. Yeah,
I think most of the rest of them we've felt pretty good going into them. I don't even think we've really needed to use a lot of resources.
yeah.
Well, admittedly, the first dragon we had to fight, where luckily we were able to pull the spine out with the little magic.
Yeah, and
But
then
if
we
we had
ran
to
away.
fight, if we had to fight that one through, I think we would have had to use either a lot of resources or failed.
Oh,
Yeah.
we would have died.
Mm.
I don't think we would have won that one.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, yeah, I mean, 𝐴rdamir went down twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I completely tapped myself out of mana in that fight, which is the first time I've done that, or even, I think, really come close to it.
Had 𝐸ⁱ not used the cup, yeah, he would have 100%. I mean, I think that fight would have gone a lot different too.
Well, I think one of the things with the go ahead.
No, it was just because all my mana was spent healing as opposed to that very last piece.
Well, you did dispel on the hippogriff and got rid of that thing before it ever did it.
Yeah, which was huge. Like
Yeah.
that was probably the entire that won the fight for us, I think. Like just getting it out and not having to expend more resources towards it.
Yeah.
Dividing our attention.
I really think almost all of you did something during the course of the fight that saved it for you. I mean, from the GM standpoint, 𝐴rdamir being able to stand his own and keep the creatures at bay kept everyone else safe to be able to do things.
And taking the charm and just eating it.
Yeah, taking the charm and eating it. Yeah, getting rid of the hippogriff was huge. I mean, the fireball and the wall piece was really big as well. And even the critical that you had, awesome. The critical that you had with the sword being thrown was massive as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad the fight was difficult. I feel like, I mean, you guys still have one more battle that's going to be set up in the campaign for certain that's going to occur. There might be two in the last two games that we have, but this for me is like so dangerous now moving forward because 𝐸ⁱ has like 4 con. He ages again, that con could go down and he dies. For Mihail, he's got 4 wisdom because he wasn't able to get a lesser restoration, and if he goes down one more time, you become catonic. I mean, there's certain things that could occur that could
my
almost put
wisdom
you
won't go down.
It should.
Oh, that's true. Unless you fight another creature that drains
yeah,
it.
if we fight another wisdom draining creature.
But
I mean, I don't think I have the wisdom to ward away from those things at this point.
The funny thing is that, you know, historically, our general has not been very aware of his surroundings, and I cannot imagine how having 4 wisdom is going to affect that.
Well,
I
but when
went
we get
from
back,
a +0 to a -2. So
I still have, I guess, a question that when we get back, isn't he able to call upon any of the healers to be like, hey, can you cast restoration on me or something?
As the Sir of the city, he could go and utilize a healer in order to bring it back. Yeah.
Are there any questions asked about that? Like, what the hell happened to you?
It depends. I don't think that as long as he's being able to talk to somebody using charisma to get the save for them to utilize it, there won't be any questions. But if he tries to go through the proper channels of like having it approved by the 9th or through the Surtur, then there would be questions. So it depends on how he wants to go about having it done. Usually you would go through the authorities to get it approved for like something that happens outside of the town. I mean, if it happened on the battlefield in the midst of everything, he could quickly call somebody over to do it. But for him to like actually go through the right channels to have it done, there might be questions. It just depends on what Mihail wants to do.
Are there not going to be questions when we get back to town at 2 a.m. and Mihail is beaten to shit within an inch of his life?
We'll just have some of the wine bottles and make it look like we just had a wild party.
We were drinking and fell down a mountain.
We got jumped on the way back.
I mean, that's actually pretty easy to explain, honestly.
We were minding our own business, and these weird dwarf things attacked us, plus a manticore and Garfield.
Yeah.
Garfield?
You know, just 𝐸𝐸 is in a mood. We followed him, and next thing we know, he's getting ambushed by a giant snake. We defended ourselves.
It's all 𝐸𝐸's fault.
Yeah,
and it
actually,
did attack
that's not
us
a
first.
bad idea because Karina will buy it.
Yeah, she'll give you a massage.
Or
fine.
can you just talk to your dad?
My gosh! So just like
I don't know about Dorothy right now.
The end of one day to the next day, Karina was like, "Ooh, yeah, I like an older man, that silver fox." The next day you come back and you were just like, you're all gums
to the test, right?
You're all gums. You got no teeth left. Your nose hair is braided. Like you've got
longer than your beard.
Jowls hanging down to your nipples. Like it's
Well,
just.
Can Karina make a wisdom save to see if she could even resist that? I mean,
she's like,
such a strong animal magnetism.
Oh God.
The good news is, 𝐸𝐸, she's already pregnant, so
yeah,
just bring the baby as your own.
You got to move fast on that, so your brothers believe it.
Assuming I live that long. I'm not sure he can move fast at this point.
That's unfortunate.
Do they have like any male enhancement spells or? Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
I have enhance ability.
Is that like the Stuhian version of like Viagra?
Oh yeah, give him a nice pep in his step.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really like the magic system. It's just so much fun with the like that threat of that danger of aging every time you cast spells.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play it without the age restriction. I want to go ham with these spells.
Still, I mean, for what it is, it's very enjoyable. There has to be a cost. There has to be a cost to spells for it to be meaningful and have an impact, and that definitely does that.
Yeah, like I was saying, I really like how you guys are nearing the end of the campaign, and it feels like it's coming to a completion, not only in like the story itself being told, but also just in the characters like coming to a place that they can't continue on adventuring because of what the toll has been on them and accomplishing what needed to be accomplished. Like oftentimes we like get to the end of a campaign, it's like, oh, my player can still go for another 20 levels, or we get there and it's like it doesn't really feel like it's finished. This one feels like it's wrapping up in the measure of all things, which has been kind of satisfying.
Don has definitely aged, but the thing is that he's the only one capable of reversing that over time. So it's possible for him to start going backwards at a certain point if he has the opportunity to do so. So I think there's much less pressure on him to be worried about how much he expends in any given fight, because he knows that to some degree he can take that burden off of himself.
Yeah, the thing that becomes interesting, which I know this isn't in this game, but with profane magic users themselves, is that they get banished from Stuhian societies and they have to go live among the humans, among the Anshadar. And it's not so well for them to be able to continuously keep themselves young through this process, or even stay in an area and not cast magic where they don't age, because then they're like preyed upon by humans, like what is wrong with this person that's not aging, or this person that keeps getting young again. So they're constantly having to move and travel and change locations to keep themselves safe from being preyed upon by the Anshadar.
Yeah.
He's a witch.
Yeah, he's a vampire.
Basically.
He's a witch. Yeah, it becomes really interesting.
So, going backwards here a little bit to the beginning of the session, just because we had the initial conversations and things like that, I can't say that anything about Karina taking charge surprised me, but I do feel like I knew you were going to move, like, shake things around in regard to, like, the actual murder suspect there. Where it was like there was information missing that basically it implicated someone other than who I was originally thinking. Like, I was like, yeah, it's Dorothy, but I think at the time I also said Josh was going to switch shit around. And it's going to be somebody.
I was already on 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤. I was throwing 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 out, so...
So I don't know if I'm delivering this really well, and I'm not going to pick on you too hard, Jason, but Jason's very disinterested in what his mothers have to say. And his mother's had a lot more to say about that kind of got dismissed because he's like, now I'm done talking to you, and walked away.
Right. Taking a page out of Dawn's book. That's what he does.
Yeah, I don't want to discourage you from like others. There's a lot more to the murder that I'm hoping all comes out before the game is done, but it's not as simple as just like shifting the blame to somebody else.
Yeah.
There's multiple individuals that are involved in this, and the mothers themselves don't even know exactly who did it. What they were trying to say was Serena came to us and said 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 killed him and to hide it to protect the council.
Yeah.
Is what the mothers were saying. They go, we don't know if 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 actually had anything to do with it. It may have been Serena. There was primal magic that was involved, but also void magic and elemental magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
the 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 bit I got, with there being more, I mean, yeah.
But even with Serena, you guys would have noticed, like, she's maybe aged a little bit, but not to the degree of which you guys saw the body.
Yeah. And the thing is that even though
𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 is not aged at all.
Even though I am interested kind of in what's going on with that murder thing, I don't know that Dawn cares. Dawn is just like, this is all just more drama and intrigue and other bullshit that's going on there. It doesn't have anything to do with me or like what the next day or two are going to hold for me. Like, this is something that the city itself is going to have to figure out, and it doesn't. It's me knowing the truth of this does not help me or my daughter or my mother. So who cares? Is the biggest thing for him.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree, and I think 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 is kind of, at the point where he's. Nobody's being honest about it. The reasons this was started doesn't seem to be on any of the council's mind, including his parents.
Which people are usually pretty honest about murder.
Right.
Well, I don't think it's just a murder.
No,
like everyone seems to be out for themselves.
Yeah.
Which I think is that's very Stuhian to always be out for yourself. It's just way more evident right now given the crises that are affecting the
people
city.
are getting desperate and they're being more open with their actions.
Which I'm hoping that has felt like it's kind of went to a climax and shifted, because the first 4 or 5 sessions were not that way. There was more of this unitary, like, working together.
Yeah.
But as they got more desperate, there started being a lot more things that were very self-serving and weren't necessarily hidden.
Yeah.
I will say you have done that part of the story well, in my opinion, Josh.
Well,
the rest of it?
The build-up and whatnot?
Yeah,
I have
agree.
issues with the combat, but that's just with the game.
Yeah. The combat that you just want magic at your fingertips at all times.
Well, not just that, but all the enemies are overpowered compared to what we are. And I know that was what you were going for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, combat's supposed to be a dangerous thing.
I don't
Can't
know
just
if
run
they're
in and swing your axe.
I don't know if they're overpowered. We're just
this fight was a challenge. The first fight felt overpowered, but all the ones in between have felt relatively easy, I would say.
Yeah, they have. I think this one was challenging, and it gets to that point though. Like Josh pointed out, I mean, we have that limitation, which is good. I like that. You know, I'm not a fan of, you know, being at 4Con at the moment, but that's beside the point. That's just kind of how the dice rolled.
Yeah.
You know, I could still be at an 8Con and have a 10 dex too. I mean, it could have been the exact opposite, and I'd have been honky dory. But that's not how the dice played out. So I liked the fight. I think it was challenging. I thought I'm a little, you know, I wanted to throw my dagger because I sure as hell was not running in there, but I get it.
Well, and to some degree, Jason, a lot of your mana issues are kind of your own fault, because you do have a tendency to cast way more magic just kind of in general.
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Outside of combat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think anyone else does. Because I think that realistically, you cast about the same as probably Mahale and I do most of the time, except for like outside of combat. You're like, I'm going to give Karina this boost, and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I am curious, Greg, why you decided not to throw 𝐥𝐻 under the bus. Like, you were standing there, you had him by the shoulders, the bus was coming down the street, and at the last minute you decided not to just throw him underneath the wheels and watch him get ran over.
Well, part of it is that everything happened so fast. And, like, Mahale saw 𝐥𝐻 cast the magic in. And then he had Dawn whispering in his ear that 𝐥𝐻 was doing that to balance the fight or whatever. Everything happened so quick, and then Karina pops off and says, okay, let's take a vote. And before I had a chance to do anything with the bus veered to the left, and Karina just took over the whole thing, and 𝐥𝐻 was pardoned. And then I got told by 𝐥𝐢𝐤 that I'm not allowed to arrest people when I'm second in the fucking military, and I'm not allowed to arrest people in the city.
No, can't do it.
You're not the sheriff.
So there were a lot of factors in there. Some
deputy.
things I didn't realize, some things I did.
I'm trying to think of the right word. I can't think of it now off the top of my head. Like a magistrate. Like, you're not like a magistrate in the sense that 𝐥𝐢𝐤 is. You're more of like the general.
A magistrate doesn't arrest people, though.
The magistrate,
they're the judges.
That would be closer to like the 𝐴rchon or the council.
Yeah.
Right.
Would be the magistrates.
See, I thought we were the soldiers, we were the policing force. So we caught the criminals, we maintained the peace, you know, all that stuff. We defend the city in war.
That last part's true.
So is there another force within the city that actually, like, polices and maintains general order?
That's usually the council. Like, that's what 𝐥𝐻's job was before, was to go around and investigate crimes and question people and then bring them before the council or before the 𝐴rchon to determine guilt and punishment.
Then why did 𝐥𝐢𝐤 have us looking for...
Because the 𝐴rchon told him to.
Okay.
Essentially,
it was like
I was
calling
the
in the National
librarian.
Guard to go do shit. Is like what it was. Like, the 𝐴rchon called in the National Guard to come take care of an issue in the city, but typically, like, the army themselves defends the city from war. But they're not really responsible for, like, governance.
Okay. Like, I thought that we were the policing force.
Yeah, I realized that I gave
at the hands of the council. Like they
I
told us what
realized
to
that
do, what laws to enforce, and we did it.
Yeah, after last session, I realized that I made like that impression because of like, especially what went on with Gabriel and him going and doing things. I was like, that really was like the National Guard being called in to come take care of a situation. Because you guys typically are like you're like the Army or the Navy, like you defend the city and you go to war and you take care of that and you're very respected because of it. But you guys aren't police.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I just thought we were more than just that.
Yeah, I think that was my fault. So you were like, detain him. I was like, I don't know that you can make that demand out of the people. Citizens arrest type of thing.
Well, I mean, there were guards around, right?
In the sense that, like, you know, the military is attending an event, not like they're standing guard. There's like no guards.
See, I apparently had a completely wrong impression of what my services were.
Yeah,
this whole time.
it's a theocracy. it's not a monarchy. So
I don't see what that has to do with it.
Well, and even then, I mean, historically, like a guard, they're really like, I think that there's a lot of like fantasy fiction misconceptions about what the guard was and like what that type of thing is anyway, because that wasn't very common really back in the day.
Right.
I don't know. That's my fault though that I get that misimpression. And so in our session, you're like, arrest me. Like, I don't know that you can do that. So I had to take a week. I had to take a week to think about it, being like, how do I approach this?
So I have a question, because when we talked about our investigations, it was supposed to go through the council, and the Archon really didn't have a role, kind of separate from that. But then the Archon steps up and pardons 𝐸 and does kind of an investigation, which the council had no say or really didn't do anything with that for Serena or 𝐸.
There will be things. You guys will get back to figure out what happened to Serena and her son.
Right.
Well, but I'm saying, like, the council though didn't really have a say in it, whereas before, when the other investigations, it seemed like the Archon was not really having a say in investigations, and all of a sudden she's kind of bypassing them and just using her authority over them.
See, I
well, that's because the Ninth was, usurping the Archon. Karina and her lot were trying to overthrow him.
But the Archon was still commanding and saying, go bring this person, go investigate this, go bring this person for trial.
But I thought we had the conversation that it was like the council kind of makes the rules and does things along that lines, and then the Archon is kind of separate from the council, right?
We need a full breakdown of the law,
order of governance,
judiciary.
I don't even know anymore. It's all so convoluted.
I feel like we had this in a short rest. We need to go back. Oh,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the Archon was the one who was sending out the orders, go do this thing. So that's why Greg was going and collecting people to bring them in front of the council. But the council was responsible for adjudicating the law. So they were basically acting as the magistrate, where they were interrogating or they were bringing people on trial to determine whether or not they were guilty. And then the Archon would have dispensed judgment depending on whether or not guilt was found.
This is true.
So in this instance, the Archon is still saying, listen, this is what we need to do in regard to what's her face?
Yeah, Serena.
Serena and her son.
Serena and her son, and
saying they need to be brought before trial, so go ahead and hold them. But as far as 𝐸 is concerned, like the pardon situation, I'm not real sure about that. I know that it's something that occurs within the books where the Archons have a tendency to pardon themselves because they have that authority, but I'm not sure to what extent they can do that for others. I assume that since they can pardon themselves, they can pardon whoever the fuck they please.
Well, if they're the ones dispensing judgment in the end anyway, even after it's being adjudicated, then they can say no punishment if they want to.
So she's basically saying guilty or not guilty doesn't matter. 𝐸 is free.
Yeah. But I know that it becomes a little convoluted, like, in the shift of this, because, like, at this point right now, she sits on the Ninth, and she's the Archon. and that hasn't really been figured out even in Stu-Hee history. So she's having weight in both areas, which we didn't really. I know we're kind of dragging this out a little bit, but that's what she was doing to the Archon beforehand. Is that she was like sitting on the head seat of the Ninth, but she was telling the Archon what to do.
Right, which we saw that in the trial and a couple other instances.
Which is still crazy to me how she managed to like weasel her way into that degree of authority, because whenever she called for Claduke, he seemed to be very motivated and very, I guess, authoritative in like what he thought should be the degrees of whatever. And he was like, basically like, I'm going to stomp her into the ground and kill her, and nobody takes nobody's Archon but me. But for whatever reason, for weeks or months or years before that, he was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and listen to this lady. And that just seems strange to me, instead of him exercising his authority sooner.
So the reason behind it, I don't know if this will actually come out, but he had the belief that she was going to marry his son, and his son was going to ascend, and she was going to be his son's wife.
I see.
So he was appeasing her, not knowing that she was having an affair with Sir Gavin at the same time that was going on. So he believed that she was moving into a place of position because she was playing multiple areas of power to get into a position.
I see.
So I don't know if that would ever actually come out, but that's what the case was. And that's why Kel was so upset that she then challenged his father, and it was like, no, you can't be Archon, which of course will have its own ramifications against the Benjamin family.
Yeah.
What family? They're going to be wiped out come morning.
Yeah, they'll probably be wiped
Eventually.
out before you even get back to Laerheim.
Jesus. Yeah, Karina moves quick.
Yeah.
Had a baby before she started hitting on Sir Khan.
Yeah.
That's not my fault.
I still feel like we should have a conversation if the baby ages with her. So
No, I think that's a very interesting conversation.
I
that
think
was
it
never
is.
fully resolved. It comes out as a 43-year-old man.
Benjamin Button this shit.
Yeah.
after she kills him, all of a sudden the baby pops out and it's like,
smoking a cigar. Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
I'll hail the queen.
Bring me some fish and gravy.
Bam.
Is this an Espelini baby?
Who was the father? Was what's his face? Right?
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know,
Sir Goran, Sir Gavin, whatever his name is. Yeah.
how do we know? Maybe they need to go on Maury or something to.
With some Springer.
Sir Khan's
Tonight on
father
Stu-Hee
the
and
entire
Springer.
time.
Yep. It's all part of my plot.
There's an episode
Steven
of
Springer.
Maury and Sir Khan's just asleep in the chair
Is
on
it-
stage because he's
With his
94
walker?
years old.
We have the new Archon. Her previous lover was killed and trying to kill her brother. And then Sir Khan is a rapidly aging man. Who's the father?
And suddenly Sir Khan farts himself awake.
It'll be
It's
healing
a
and he
magical
dies.
fart and it kills him.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's a magic park and he dies.
And then they announce that neither of them are their father, and it's really
Yeah.
She was never pregnant to begin with.
Never pregnant.
She's
You're
never
gonna
pregnant.
find out she's not actually even pregnant.
She put a pillow in her shirt.
That'd be great if Sir Khan went to all this trouble to protect a woman that wasn't even pregnant.
Was
But is that why he's protecting her?
Was that? Yeah, I was going to say, is that the motivation, Jason, for Sir Khan? Is it all about the baby?
No.
Or is it
that's
all
not-
about the baby?
It's all about the baby.
No. Sircon's he's the way Sircon's looking at it's like she weaseled her way. Weaseled, quote unquote. No, you can't see me doing my air quotes, but I'm doing my air quotes.
I can see.
You just see my guy screaming.
Here, you may help you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Into the Archon's ear basically, and
Maybe
then
throw
when
another
started telling the Archon exactly what to do all of the time. Sircon kind of looked at the Archon like he wasn't fit or strong enough to rule the Stu-Hee people. Like it's about the people for Sarkon. Like that's what it's about, or the majority of the people anyway. And so I think it was, I looked at it like she was the lesser of two evils. Like, you knew what you were going to get with her. So he was agreeing to everything the knight said, changed his beliefs on a dime. Like, there was nothing about that felt right. So.
How long was the previous Archon?
A long time. Like 600 years.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we knew what we were going to get with him. But at the same time, in the last little bit, he's been just changing shit left and right. So who knows?
Right.
You got tired.
I think it was what you'd call a midlife crisis after 600 years.
Is?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is the average lifespan about 12?
1200, yeah. The average lifespan is however long you don't cast magic. I will say this. I know
so about 20.
Yeah, Ț'rkon is actually 24.
I will say this, though. I've really appreciated the way that you guys have played your 4 characters up to this point, because I feel like you've each embodied like who that character is, like fully in the way that you presented them, and that's been really nice to see.
I'm glad we haven't disappointed you with your characters.
I think your personalities just naturally fit who each one of these characters are. So it was nice to see the way you guys picked them up and ran with them.
It's definitely been fun playing Mihail.
Yeah, I think we had a brief conversation about that the other day, Josh, when I was like, I don't know. I'm glad that I ended up with Dawn, because I don't know that I could have played any of the other characters the way that they were played, and I don't think it would have turned out as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than, being able to throw a sword, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm very happy I could throw a sword with this character.
Yeah, I bet.
I love throwing characters.
I feel like I gave Todd a lot of spotlight a couple of weeks ago on the short rest. But Todd, your ability to keep Eretmir engaged in a city that's not his city and keep his motivations rolling to stick with these 3 sons of bitches and the town that wants nothing to do with you has been phenomenal. Like, you have found a path forward.
You should have walked out like 3 days ago.
Yeah, you need like an Emmy at this point because you're doing great.
They need to have a new class of Emmys just for people who play D&D.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, I've had the ability just to be, wherever. Like, you guys have had more of a storyline that you've had to fit through, and for me, I can just kind of be off the wall or whatever.
It's fun being the odd man out sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I am curious. One question I've wanted to ask: that gold dragon is still sitting at Sir Mihail's place, right? Like, it's just sitting there
without any skin on it.
Țrkon's kind of like, maybe I should go drink some of that congealed blood, get some of my constitution back.
And that's how
Țrkon did put the blood back in the body.
Yeah,
that's how Țrkon dies, because he wasn't awake.
I want my wisdom back.
The entire ritual that allowed Dorothy to drink the blood and not die.
I just want a shot. I don't even need a whole cup. Just a shot.
I think Mihail's wisdom's low enough. He might think there's still some residual magic in there.
Well, is the blood poisonous or is just the skin?
The blood's poisonous.
The blood's poisonous
as well. Okay,
it's very clear you guys haven't read Anarfell because a guy tried that afterwards and it just murdered him. Like, it was.
I hadn't read it.
It was Țrkon.
Țrkon dies in the body. Somebody just goes in and strips him naked and leaves him on top of it for someone else to find.
That'd be an interesting thing to explain to Karina.
No, I think the dragon's been taken care of and cleaned up. Dorfe took care of it afterwards.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Mihail chopped the head off, mounted it in his study.
There's actually a huge piece of like Dorfe is protecting Mihail's future for like the Caligula legacy. So there's a lot of things he's doing in the background to give Mihail a path forward.
Why didn't he give me sacred magic? That would be really helpful to embody the bloodline.
Because that would have put a mark on your back at the moment that would have been revealed.
Oh yeah, just have your dad fix you.
I already said that.
You did. You did. I heard it.
I haven't seen him since that ritual?
No, he was at. I said he was at the.
Well, yeah, he was at the arena.
He was hanging around afterwards. No one just spoke to him. Like he was hanging around, just sitting there. Like all the carrion council.
So he's probably available to take care of you.
Yeah, we just moved maps, unfortunately, and we lost the opportunity to speak with him, you know?
Yeah, the way you spoke, I thought everyone just moved up that way and we were by ourselves.
To my witness, John will watch it. I kept saying the carrion council is still there. They're lingering around. They're available.
Yeah. I mean, you did.
I
thought you said
just,
people were just lingering around, because I think it was asked if there were people lingering around. You said, yes, there are people lingering around. I don't remember hearing the carrion council.
Yeah, I don't remember that specifically either. But yeah, I had asked, I said, so there's just people still milling about? And you said yes. I didn't really think about who that was specifically. I just assumed it was random people.
Now, I know I said carrion because
I'm sure you did.
I had a whole conversation scripted out for everybody at the carrion council if you guys would have spoken to them.
Oh, I mean, sorry, Josh.
And I mean, had my mom's not interrupted me, maybe 𝐸𝐤𝐤 would have.
Yeah,
you know,
I kind of forced it on 𝐸𝐤𝐤 because I wanted to get that one bit out, but the rest there was
and that was fine.
Maybe if you were a little more respectful to your parents, we would have more information and things would be going better now.
I don't know. I kind of agree with 𝐸𝐤𝐤 in that situation. Everything that's going on, and the first thing they bring up is a fucking kid. I'd be pissed too.
At this point, why not? Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Let's just talk about kids.
I guess.
They were trying to tell you why they weren't being truthful with you. That's what they were trying to do. They were bringing it underneath the guise of a kid, but they were arranging marriages for you on the back end.
Yeah. And I heard that.
Were you interested in 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞? I mean, they were going to wed you off to him in an arranged marriage.
I don't even remember 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞. Like, I know the character, but
he had meth teeth and
your childhood friend. That's the son of Serena.
Yeah,
he was the one that was giving you guys information and setting things up.
Oh yeah,
and apparently giving you the googly eyes.
Yeah, apparently you never picked up on that.
I did not.
Every time we saw him, he was just licking his teeth from across the room.
When he'd see you, he'd like unbutton his top button and be like, "Hey, it's 𝐸𝐤𝐤," and you're like, "Hey, it's your sister."
Not Nemeth. Nemeth.
Oh, dang it!
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞.
No,
sorry,
it's his sister.
No, sorry. You're right. Not Nemeth. Yeah, sorry. I was mixing those two up.
Yeah, I guess I didn't pick up on that. Whoops.
There's a lot of characters in play. I think that
there are.
I really only figured out who most of them are in probably the last 2 or 3 sessions. Like the first 6 episodes, I was just like, there's too many names. I don't even know who we're talking to
person.
at the time.
Yeah.
Comes down to, did that person screw us over? Yes, then I remember him. Otherwise...
Yeah. So you remember everyone then?
You know,
𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤 never screwed us over.
Never did.
Well, apparently he killed Nemeth.
May have.
No.
May have.
Damn it. See,
well, we don't know because he didn't age, apparently.
You don't know.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
He does not show any signs of aging. His mother does.
Unless he can, suck
so,
people off. Well, that's bad.
Well, think about this. We've got Karina, Serena, and 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 all involved here. So you get another 3-4 people, everyone casting Burning Hands. You drop 2 mana per person. Everyone barely ages, and you get the same effect on Nemeth's corpse.
Maybe 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐞 was part of it. We don't know.
Maybe.
No.
It's a circle. It's a circle burn.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I just kind of imagine 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐞's parents are just working everyone. So all these people are constantly throwing themselves at 𝐸𝐤𝐤 and he just never notices them.
They're constantly setting him up with blind dates. He doesn't realize it.
At this point, he's so old.
No, but even before he was old. I mean, it's his attendants came that worked with him and they'd, be doing all this stuff and he bending over. Hey, can you help me with this, 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐞? And he'd be like, what are you doing? You're going to hurt your back. Bend at the knees.
But I'm saying, like, at this point, he is so old. Like, what is the benefit to marrying him off?
What's hilarious is that he's aged all of this in a week. Like, you're gonna have a knock on your door like tomorrow, and it's gonna be like, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. Sorry, it's taken me a week to come speak to you." What the fuck?
Huh? I don't remember no Rebecca.
Well, he's also going to start getting mail from AARP. So,
Hey,
I get mail from AARP.
I was gonna say I already get mail from AARP.
He can't find his way to work anymore.
Starts wandering through the streets.
Yeah, just with no pants on because he forgot.
In a bathrobe.
my mom's want a baby.
With that expression on his face the entire time. All right, that's enough. Let's get off here. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us here on the short rest. We'll see you guys all again next time. Hit that like and subscribe button.